Hi guys, it's lowercase. I know it's been a while and I'm sorry. I've been really busy and I just haven't had any time to work on videos, so I apologize. But what matters is that I'm back and we're talking about more Roblox games, specifically the most popular one of today and maybe in all of Roblox history, Grow a Garden. Now, as far as I know, it's peaked at 10 million active players, which is around the population of Azerbaijan as of 2024, which is a whole country, by the way. And not to mention, it's got around 1 million concurrent players, which means there's around 1 million people on the game almost all the time. Now, why is it so popular? Before I played the game, I assumed it would just be like watching paint dry. It kind of is, but slightly more exciting. I'll explain it all, don't worry. So, welcome to episode 3 of Just One More Game, a series where I play and review Roblox games so you can decide whether they're worth your while. As a quick refresher, we'll go over gameplay, visuals, monetization, progression, replayability, originality, the community, and finally, its brainrot potential, and then consolidate all of those points into the core meter rating on a scale of S through F, with S being the best and F being the worst. Then I'll give my personal overall rating on the game based on how much I enjoyed playing it. Now, let's see what Grow a Garden has to offer. Let's begin by discussing gameplay. The core gameplay loop for Grow a Garden is pretty basic. There's a seed shop from which you buy various fruit and plant seeds, then you plant the plants, wait for them to grow, then harvest and sell them after growth. Each plant and fruit sells for a different price, with some plants being inherently larger than others, and every single fruit having the possibility to be extremely large.
Oh my god!
It sounds simple, right? I thought it would be just that before I played, but it turns out that the seed shop actually restocks every 5 minutes. Basically, you won't know what seeds will be available and in what quantity during the next restock, so it's kind of like gambling. This mechanic makes players feel like they might miss out on really expensive or quote-unquote meta plants, since rarer and more expensive plants obviously have a lower chance to appear in the shop. It's a really good tactic to keep people online and also make them spend some Robux trying to restock for a good seed shop. Another mechanic that exists to keep people hooked is the mutations mechanic. When your crop grows a fruit, it has a chance to have a certain mutation, which changes the visual model of the fruit as well as increasing its price. Mutations can happen randomly as fruits are grown, but events also occur in-game which increase the chances of a fruit becoming mutated. Some of the permanent in-game events include rain and thunderstorms, and limited time events include the currently ongoing bee swarm event. This also keeps people online as mutated fruits cost significantly more, and players hoping to make bank would stay online as long as possible to experience as many events as they can. This gameplay vibe feels very similar to older, classic Roblox tycoon games that gave the platform its initial popularity. Overall, Grow a Garden's gameplay is pretty simple, but it's done very well. I'll give Grow a Garden a 9 out of 10 in this section. There are a few quality of life changes that I feel would be appreciated, such as a count of how many and what type of plants you have on your farm, and a collect all button, etc. But Grow a Garden does well in providing a proper gameplay experience. Grow a Garden's visuals are pretty simple. There's not much special to them, which is expected of a game like this, but it's not to the game's detriment. The simple models and textures make the game easy on the eyes, which fits since you're going to be playing for hours upon hours on end. Trust me. The UI isn't anything crazy, only a few colorful buttons, so no flashing rainbow colors are dancing across your screen and obliterating your retinas. Some of the fruit mutations do provide special effects on the fruit themselves, which is cool, and it's a big plus that the VFX on them isn't super flashy and hard to look at. The textures for everything are literally just the classic Roblox brick texture, which I feel adds to that classic Roblox tycoon-esque vibe. Also, crops can grow differently from another crop of the same type, which is a cool little addition to prevent your farm from looking really boring. The only element in the game that's a little hard to look at is the in-game Robux shop, where you can buy stuff with Robux, since there's some weird texture effects going on in the background and you can see for yourself. Grow a Garden provides simple visuals done well, and you'd love to see it. The older classic models and textures of the fruit contrast really well with the special VFX that can be gained from mutations, and the game just feels good to look at. Grow a Garden earns a 9.5 out of 10 in the visuals section. I'd be happy to provide a 10 out of 10, but I am going to nitpick and say that the in-game shop bumps it down a bit. Now, how is Grow a Garden trying to take your money? Well, it doesn't exactly push monetization, but Robux is definitely extremely useful to have. Instead of spending shekels, which is the in-game currency, you can spend Robux to buy everything, from seeds to gear to some of the in-game packs. Everything can be bought with Robux. I mentioned earlier that you can spend Robux to restock your seed shop, which I would categorize as something above a quality of life feature, since it's extremely useful. But it encourages players to spend their money on the game, since it's basically gambling. You can buy the in-game items with Robux, like seeds and gear, but I wouldn't recommend it since most of the stuff is pretty cheap in terms of the in-game money, and you can get the money after farming for a couple of days. Stuff like cosmetics and item packs also exist, and you can pay Robux for them, but you can also buy cosmetics with shekels at the cosmetics shop. The item packs in the in-game store cannot be bought with shekels. Additionally, a slightly funny feature in-game exists to steal fruits from another person's crop, which costs 40 Robux. It's kind of a troll feature, but I can definitely see some YouTube videos being made where people don't grow any plants and try to make money off of only stealing other people's fruits. Most of the packs in-game are pretty expensive, and the rest of the items aren't expensive, but you end up having to buy them multiple times over during one session, so you'll end up spending more Robux than you anticipated if you do end up spending any at all. For that, Grow a Garden earns a 6 out of 10 in monetization. Slightly above average, but it's not amazing. When it comes to replayability, Grow a Garden almost excels. Almost. The reason I don't say it does excel is because it's a very basic gameplay loop. Nothing ever really changes, but it's done in an entertaining way. However, since this rating is solely based off of the replayability and not off the entertainment or enjoyment, I unfortunately have to give Grow a Garden a 3.5 out of 10 for replayability. The game progression is also kind of in the same boat. It won't blow you out of the water, but it's not horrible either. Very similar to an old-style Roblox tycoon, you'll make what you think is big money once you start out, but eventually it gets harder to accumulate a similarly proportional amount of cash. After a few days of playing, you kind of plateau, so the progression earns a 5 out of 10. Now, when it comes to originality, there aren't many garden simulator games that I've seen on Roblox, but the basic concept has been done before in different ways, most commonly in tycoons. The way Grow a Garden executes its mechanics is original, and honestly, I haven't seen many games that combine these mechanics in such a way, which explains why the game is so popular. Maybe Grow a Garden isn't an absolutely engaging button mashing game, but it is an original experience, something you rarely come across on Roblox nowadays. So Grow a Garden earns a 10 out of 10 on the originality scale. The Grow a Garden community is extremely active, which is a good and a bad thing. The great thing about having such a large community is that there will always be a number of active players and people to talk to regarding the game. As of the making of this video, the Grow a Garden Discord has 380,000 active members and 2.1 million total members. That is insanely huge numbers for a Roblox game, but there is something bad about having such a large count of players. There's a much higher chance of running into toxic people, including scammers. There's not exactly a trading mechanic in Grow a Garden, but you're able to gift people fruits and pets, and because of this mechanic, a trading community does exist, with the Discord even having a designated trading channel. Unfortunately, since you only gift people items and don't actually trade through an in-game mechanic, scamming is extremely easy, and there are complaints of a significant number of them existing within the community. The devs are pretty cool, and reportedly receive unwarranted hate, but if they're good people, that's all that matters to me. A large and active community with some pretty bad people existing within, I think I'll give Grow a Garden a 7 out of 10 for its community rating. Now for the addiction scale, well, it gets a 10 out of 10 easy. It's gambling, just with plants. Need I say more? Alright, finally, averaging out all the points earns Grow a Garden a 7.5 out of 10 on the core meter scale. This places it at a B tier. not bad. Overall, the game's pretty fun and very addicting, but the gameplay lacks a bit of substance. Honestly, I came into this video fully despising the game. After hearing how popular it was and thinking that the game was just about growing a garden and extremely boring, well, it's safe to say I fully came in prepared to absolutely dog on the game. But after playing it for a while, it's very apparent as to why the game is popular at all. And honestly, I don't mind it. I'd personally rate Grow a Garden in the high A or low S tier in terms of enjoyment. It's one of the few games of this type that I actually somewhat enjoyed playing. Thanks for watching this video, and if you don't mind, leave a like for the YouTube algorithm and consider subscribing so you don't miss future installments of Just One More Game. If you've got suggestions for the next game I should play or have thoughts on the game we reviewed today, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'd love to read them. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.